Order! Order! You are an incorrigible delinquent at times. Behave yourself, man!
Now, dealing with Britain's mountain of plastic waste is one of the most pressing problems of our time. We've exported millions of tonnes to countries like China, but now China has shut the door. This programme has been given exclusive access to a report published tomorrow by the Policy Connect think tank. It calls for an end to all exports of plastic packaging in a decade. As our chief correspondent Alex Thompson reports, manufacturers, recyclers, scientists and cross-party MPs largely agree on solutions, but government action is the issue.
As they say, where there's muck, there's brass. Sorting it for export to Europe and East Asia near Bristol this morning. Now, if they could send it locally, they assuredly would. The report, seen exclusively by Channel 4 News, brings scientists, industry, green groups and cross-party politicians to call for an end to our plastic waste exports by 2030.
In the last 7 years, we've exported over 4 million tonnes of plastic waste, and that could fill Wembley Stadium to the brim 26 times. This is wrong, and Britain can do better.
Simultaneously this morning we filmed on the west coast at Avonmouth and in the east in Dagenham, East London, at Veolia's plastic recycling plant. Two of the biggest players in waste management. One central message to government: make the polluter pay. Big brands create this stuff, time they paid for clearing up their mess.
Ultimately, getting big brands to make the money available to fund the systems is what we need, because they put it there and they want it back to make those closed loop systems work. That's the one ask I've got for government.
Big plastic bottle brands stand accused of not paying their fair share of recycling, but they point out all their material is 100% recyclable. They've done their bit.
The truth is that most of our producers are already using a high proportion of recycled plastic. They'd like to use even more. But for years we've had a producer responsibility system which for some reason seems to have left compliance schemes sending large quantities of plastic overseas for reprocessing. That cannot be right, and it's in no one's interests in the country.
And it's not like the technology isn't already here. Veolia recycles London's plastic milk bottles, 300 million a year. Sorted raw material assembled outside, shredded, then cleaned, then colour separated, to the end product of pellets to be made back into plastic milk bottles.
In the last budget, Her Majesty's Treasury said they were going to implement a tax if you didn't put 30% recycled content in your packaging. We think they need to go through with that tax, make sure that people do pay. If they're not using recycled content, then everyone will want to buy what we produce, and that will make the whole recycling system work.
Well, of course he'd say that, but the argument's becoming irresistible, though we need recycling on a scale unseen in this country with fast-track planning to deliver.
You're talking, I don't know, another 50 to 60 plants of this nature, and then you're talking another 10 to 20 refining plants on the back end to produce the pellets that can go back to secondary use. So it's a lot of infrastructure, and it's all going to happen in the next 5 to 10 years.
Policy Connect's report echoes industry calls to end plastic waste exports, create UK jobs, reduce litter and cut carbon emissions by shipping plastic abroad. The recycling industry's message to government is, please, just get on with the following and everyone wins. 1. Simplify recycling for consumers. It's chaotic and confusing. 2. Deposit schemes on all plastic bottles. 3. Labelling, red and green dots so you know how to recycle. 4. Taxes on unrecyclable packaging. 5. Polluter pays. Force manufacturers and big brands into using more recycled plastic.
Now look at this. This machine behind me may not look much, but it can recycle every plastic water bottle produced by the whole of London. Problem is, it's not working. And that's because the market for that recycled material isn't quite there yet. They're near, but not near enough.
And then the other micro message from today's report and from industry too. What can we do? Well, everyone's talking about deposit schemes, proven to be incredibly effective.
That works. We think we can go from about 50% to about 95, 98% recovery.
That's astonishing.
Well, that's all the countries in Germany and in Scandinavia that have implemented deposit return schemes. They see this rise because people will go and scavenge the material from the streets.
Wide consensus then on what's wrong with our recycling of plastics and what can be done to fix it. And that plea to government. We know what to do, so do it.
We've worked with a diverse group of politicians of all different shades, and they've heard what the supermarkets, consumer groups, green NGOs and the scientists and indeed the industry have said, and we can do this and make inroads now rather than actually a long protracted parliamentary process.
And then, just maybe, someone can walk over to that machine in East London which can recycle every plastic bottle in the capital and do something life-changing. Switch it on. Alex Thompson, Channel 4 News, Dagenham.